Howdy, my name is Forrest, and I love SQL Server. And I love breaking SQL Server. So this video is for my developer friends, whom I happen to know also love breaking SQL Server. Anyways, the topic is deadlocks, which I know can be a little difficult to understand, and even more difficult to reproduce. So I wanted to give some demos on how I might recreate deadlocks in a lower level environment. Now remember, at its core, a deadlock involves a cyclic dependency, where two or more processes are waiting on the others before they can continue, and then end up in a situation where they're all waiting and none can continue, at least until some are killed. I'm going to start with a simple two-row table called deadlock me. There are just two rows. There's Forrest with 0 internet points, and Paul with over 9,000. So what I'm going to do to get a deadlock is I'm going to create two connections. In this first one, I'm going to begin a transaction, and then I'm going to add an internet point to Forrest. Notice that that transaction is left open. I'm going to do something similar in connection B. I'm going to begin a transaction, and I'm going to add an internet point to Paul. Notice that also succeeds. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to add an internet point to Paul from connection A. Remember, both of these connections have transactions open. You can see that nothing's happening. Remember, this is because connection B is holding a lock on Paul's row right now. Connection A can't do anything. So if I go to connection B and try to update Forrest and add an internet point, nothing happens. It's blocked by connection A. In fact, they were blocking each other and neither could proceed, and so we got a deadlock. Now, that's not the only kind of deadlock scenario you can run across. Notice how this took multiple update statements. Some deadlocks occur from a single statement. How do you do that? Well, let me show you. First, I need to do a little cleanup and roll back this transaction right here. Okay, I'm going to use table deadlock me again, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. Now, instead of a name column, it has an identity ID column. We still have internet points, and then we have a filler column that I use to make the table much larger. Okay, here's my plan. Remember how deadlocks need a cyclic dependency? What I'm going to try to do is have an update that reads the table in an ascending manner, and an update that reads the table in a descending manner, and hopefully they end up meeting in the middle, unable to proceed, and they deadlock. All right. I'm going to use a CTE to get an ascending order for this update. And I'm going to use a similar pattern to get a descending order for this update. All right. Let's do it. Execute. And, oh, it was just too fast. What do I do? Well, I cheat. I use basically an infinite loop. And here's what it looks like. We have the same update statement as before, and it's wrapped in a while begin end loop, and I'm using a stop time. What I do is I pick a point 20 seconds in the future, and I constantly compare that to get date while running the loop. Another important piece to this is setting no count on. That way you don't get all the 10,000 rows affected messages. Then I set up a similar loop with my connection B here. Notice how it's descending. And then I run them together. And here we go. We get a deadlock. All right, I hope these tips were useful for you. Have fun breaking the server!